Hello and welcome back to Read the Book First, the book to movie adaptation podcast. This is the companion episode to our previous episode on Treasure Island. Our friend Amanda has come back to be my guest host. We watched Treasure Planet and Muppet Treasure Island, and in this episode we're going to talk about them as movies, as adaptations to Treasure Island, and comparing them to each other. If you have not listened to the previous episode, I do recommend to go listen to that episode first. I also recommend watching the movies before listening to this podcast, so if you want to pause, go watch them, and come back, go ahead and do so. The next set of podcasts are going to be over Red, White, and Royal Blue, written by Casey McQuintis. The movie comes out on Amazon Prime this August, and so my friend Marissa will be here in the next few weeks to talk about that book and movie adaptation with me. Please follow us on Instagram at Read the Book First Podcast, on Spotify, Read the Book First Podcast, and you can always go to our website, readthebookfirst.buzzsprout.com. Enjoy the podcast. Which one do you want to start with? Muppet Treasure Island or Treasure Planet?
So here's the thing. And here's first of all, I just want to start this off by saying, because, I was going to find a more dramatic moment to say it, but I'm lazy. I was wrong about Treasure Planet. It is very good.
Wait, why are you saying this now? This is a very dramatic. This is so dramatic. A little bit of context. Amanda and I watched this with our students at least once, and she just talked shit about this movie, and I'm sitting there loving it with my students. And then yesterday she was texting me about how she didn't like it, and now, dear listeners, she loves it. Not
okay,
loves it. She didn't say that.
I did not say that. It is objectively a good movie.
Okay.
It is objectively a good movie.
I feel like I just won. Nothing else can touch me. Before we get into the nitty gritty, Treasure Planet is a 2002 Disney adaptation of Treasure Island. It is a sci-fi movie featuring our bro Jim Hawkins, but it is like pirates in the sky, all pirate ships that have air in the atmosphere, and well, it's like a whole it's a whole sci-fi mini genre.
I know, but
so
we'll get there.
Yeah. But anyways, but it's very magical. I find it very, okay, this is me being biased. I find it very magical, the way it is suddenly, it's very old timey, but then there's this dude is, surfing on this solar surf type thing, and there's really cool aliens, and it's still Treasure Island. That's the basis of it. Essentially, if you've read Treasure Island or listened to us reading Treasure Island in the last podcast, if you've not listened to it, go listen to it. There's going to be spoilers for everything. But it's their interpretation of it. But my first thing I wrote down in my notes was Treasure. I wrote this within seconds of Treasure Planet is, what's cooler than pirates? Space pirates.
You know what's cooler than space pirates? Tony J doing the opening narration. I love his voice.
The intro was so good.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know what it is, but I love the little scene at the beginning. Like you're saying, I love the intro. The little scene with little Jim and his mom. It's adorable. Yeah, it's such a great introduction. Such great exposition.
If you've not seen it, it starts with this really big epic battle about Captain Flint and his treasure, and he's this really gross looking pirate that has 6 eyes and claws, and they're is gross, and you're oh, that guy is a bad guy. And then it kind of zooms out, and you find out that it's this young kid, Jim, and his mom reading a book with a screen. It's an iPad.
Jim is an iPad kid.
Jim is an iPad.
No, you know what? It's actually more like a Leapster, where it just reads the one book to you. I love my Leapster, okay?
This is the age difference. My little cousins had them. I did not have a Leapster. And I also wrote, I was what's the publishing industry like of this in this world? If the pirates in that story are still at first I thought they were still around, like in Treasure Island, but I guess they do mention like later on that there's like 100-year time difference later on.
Yeah,
so like that made way more sense of how the story became an iPad book. But then in this little mini tangent I went on watching this in my head, I was like, what's the publishing industry like? What kind of nerd am I that immediately was like, publishing industry 5 minutes into this Disney Kids movie?
I don't know, that says a lot about you, man.
I know. But I wrote it down, so I had to talk about it. But yeah, so the intro is cool. It is so good. And then we have a time jump, right?
Yeah, we time jump into like we time jump into Jim Hawkins as an edgy teen boy who's so cool, and he's riding his skateboard.
Okay. But I just want you to know, in 2002, I was in 2nd grade, and I had just seen the prequels, right? Because Jim Hawkins has the Anakin.
Oh my god, he does. It's
rat
like,
tail.
What is it about that? Like, what is it?
Because there's also, we'll talk about later, Muppet Treasure Island. He has a mullet, very similar.
Yeah,
very similar. The rat tail. I don't love it on real people in life. But young Jenessa in 2nd grade in 2002 loved it on Anakin and loved it on Jim Hawkins.
For those of you that can't see it, because, you know, this is an audio format and there is no visual, I'm looking at her in disbelief because I do not understand.
Oh, that scene when he comes in. So he comes in out of the sky on this, like, essentially imagine like a windsurfing device, but like it's solar powered. So he's just like flying like it's Back to the Future. And he's wearing like, you know, 1800s, like,
he's
low-class
wearing a
clothes.
jacket. He's wearing a leather jacket.
Oh yeah, he does wear leather. Oh yeah,
he looks like an 80s little teen boy. Don't give him the 1800s thing. He looks like a little 80s teen boy.
But the fashion everyone wears is like 1800s, like pirate
No,
stuff.
but Jim looks like he could come straight out of a 1980s movie.
But he does have a leather jacket,
yeah.
which...
And the cargo pants and like the tan t-shirt, like, and when he has that jacket on, it's indistinguishable.
Well, he has the jacket on because we need to know that he's edgy. We need to know he's a bad boy.
Oh my god, right? He's such an edgy kid.
And I knew. I mean, he's edgy because he gets in trouble with the police. The robot police. What kind of dystopian? Oh yeah, so he flies and then he gets pulled over by the cops essentially because he's speeding, I guess. Was like the thing, but he says like the last chance that the police get him in trouble. And apparently in a deleted scene, we find out that he's 15. So that's like context, like he's a 15-year-old, which I like more than him being an 18-year-old. Because if he was like on the edge of actual adulthood, then he's just an idiot. But he's at 15. I'm like, okay, you do get a little bit more. I don't know what it is, and I wish I was better at the words sometimes. Like, that kind of character archetype of, like, the edgy loner who just does all these, like, you know, Keith from Voltron. I don't know if you've ever watched it. No, I haven't.
People keep trying to explain it to me because everybody loves that character, and I'm just like, but why? I don't get it. And people keep trying to explain it to me, and it doesn't work. And Jim falls in that same category for me, at least at the beginning of the movie, where he's just like, I'm so cool, and I'm like, why? Why are
he's
you
not
cool?
saying he's cool. He's
not saying he's cool, but all the like cinematic language is like, this is an edgy kid. And I'm
he's
like,
edgy. He's a bad boy.
Okay.
He needs to grow up, and he's like you need to look at him and know he has daddy issues. That is the point. We don't need to know anything else about his dad. We just need to know that when we look at Jim Hawkins, he has daddy issues.
I don't get it, man. I really don't get it.
I really get it. And it's okay. We can agree to disagree on Jim Hawkins at the beginning. I think it's a bomb-ass opener. And I wrote, solar surfing is so fucking cool. So, to quote myself.
No comment.
But, like, the actual action of that. Doesn't look so cool.
Okay, so like that's the other problem that you and me are going to have here is I really don't like how the 2D and 3D meld together. Yeah. I think it looks really like it's so uncanny valley for me. I can't appreciate that solar surfing scene because my brain's just sitting there going like 3D, 2D, 3D, 2D, 3D, 2D. That's 3D on a 2D background. This is a 2D character on a 3D background. Look at the way that those angles match. They don't really match. You can tell that it's very different. There's no shadows. It really bothers me.
That's a lot. I just thought it looked cool. Those are my thoughts to summarize.
The coloring like looks cool, but then like the way that it moves, it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, and I did go on, and we can talk about this later about like the actual production, and I did some reading on it, and like they were really trying to push the boundaries. And it worked in some ways, I think. And it worked in other ways. Like, later on when we get to the space station, I think it works. But in, like, the smaller scenes where the set pieces, like, they don't actually have much time there, they were, like, hustling around. But, yeah, we can talk about the animation later when we get to the behind the scenes. Jim gets pulled over by the cops and gets brought home back to the Ben Bao where his mom is working so hard.
I love his mom.
His mom in this movie is like
MVP.
Yes, she's like just trying. Like the Ben Bao is like, one, it's packed, like good on her, but also she has no help and she's like feeding all this weird space food to all the space aliens. Side note, I love how every single alien looks different. Like you don't know which quote people live on this planet throughout the whole movie. There's no one that looks alike except for the humans, and the humans are humanistic because of the main characters, because we as viewers are dumb.
Also, there's the only humans that I can name off the top of my head, Jim and his mom.
Jim and his mom, yeah, it's true.
So like,
yeah,
of course they look alike. Like, yeah, they're humans.
They're humans, exactly.
They really do commit to like this 1700s, 1800s, whatever time period is aesthetic. And, you know,
I love it. You don't like it?
So, yes and no, because I don't have an issue with it. Mm-hmm. But then we get into like the space. We'll talk about it when we get to the part where the thing happens.
When they go to space?
No, when the guy dies.
Oh.
Arrow dies, by the way.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Anyways. So mom's working hard. Boy comes home with the cops, and she's just like, oh, disappointed. Bud, we've been working so hard. You are doing better. And, it's all a misunderstanding because classic teenager never is accountable.
At the inn, mm-hmm. the other character that we are introduced to is Dr. I don't remember his first name. Dr. Doppler.
Dr. Doppler, yeah. I don't think we learn his first name.
No, they say his first name like 6 times.
Dr. Doppler.
Yeah. And he's there.
Dr. Doppler is a purposeful combination of Squire and the Doctor in Treasure Island because the producers thought you can't have too many characters, honestly, in a kid movie, right? So they decided to combine them because also one of the producers, I read a little article or interview with him, he was like, it was weird. He didn't enjoy how, in his take of Treasure Island, that the Squire and the Doctor were equal parts the father figure. Because in his opinion, they were like sharing that role. And he didn't like how one was obviously a buffoon and one was the straight man. So he decided to combine them to, one, make it less characters for kids to keep track of and for the writers to keep track of. And also because he liked it better that way.
What's this guy's email?
I'm not going to give it to you because he does not deserve the essay that you're going to send him.
Everyone deserves my essays.
And I know you love the Doctor and Treasure Island. I
think it, like, look.
For their purpose, I think
the purpose of what we're talking about, and for the purpose, we'll talk about it when we talk about the adaptation pieces of it. I think the thing that they did makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. I think it makes sense to combine the Squire and the Doctor. Mm-hmm. Do I like it? I don't hate it, but I'm very sad because I love the Doctor, as we've established.
Yes. Soon after, Mom is disappointingly talking to Jim, and Dr. Doppler like keeps trying to hit on his mom. She's not
hitting on his mom. He's just like in this. He doesn't know how to talk to people in any capacity. He's not hitting on her.
He's trying to like. Yes, he's awkward, but the way he was awkward, it was purposefully like very much coded. Like he was trying to flirt with her.
No,
absolutely.
I know that you're like more aware of that stuff, but I just disagree. I cannot believe that that's what they were going for. Absolutely. I got a very straight read of like they're not together, and they're like
no, they're not together for sure.
Yeah,
she does not care about
but like
him
they don't want to be together.
She does not want to be with him. She is too busy running this in. She is too exhausted running this in. He was flirting with her, and reason why, because he is so rich and he is there all the time. And Isaac even made a comment about how his Riz was off, and I was like, "Don't say Riz again, Isaac." Yeah, so that's part of his character is he's a bubbling buffoon, and also he can't get no lady because he's a bubbling buffoon.
You can't see it, but I'm looking dumbfounded. Let's move on.
Anyways, suddenly a spaceship crash lands into the little dock next to them, and Jim runs away from his lecture to go.
Okay, let me correct something real fast, because technically, like, he's not getting lectured. He's overhearing Doppler and his mom talking about him. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I know I've been wrong about a lot of the Pandentic stuff I've been saying, but I'm right about this one.
Anyways, and so he goes out, and this alien like reaches out and is like, I don't know what exactly he says, but he's like, I'm dying, they're coming,
beware the cyborg.
Yeah, beware the cyborg. You know, so which I liked this version of Billy Bones because it's fast. We don't have to deal with him being drunk and annoying in there and making Jim and his parents' life hard like in the book. I like this version I like how fast it was.
I have a hard disagree. Like, I really didn't I felt like it just moved so fast and it didn't make any sense. Like, why is this guy just giving Jim this map for no goddamn reason?
Because he's so petty, he doesn't want them to have it.
No, but like, it makes so much more sense in the book where it's like,
you get the backstory.
I think it makes more sense, and you get a better sense of like what the tension of the story is, because like Billy Bones like talks constantly about, you know, in the book, it's the one-legged man. So I just feel like you're missing that sense of menace, and we'll talk about the damn sense of menace when we get there. But so that's one of the things. Like, that's one of the things that I realized is a lot of my ire towards this movie is I just don't like the beginning of it. I think it moves way too quickly, and I don't enjoy the characters enough to move with them. The only character I like at the very beginning of this movie is Jim's mom.
See, I agree with Jim's mom is the best of the beginning part. Also, she's only in the beginning. And I like how fast it moves because I found the beginning of the book ridiculously boring. But that's just me.
I mean, but like, we'll talk about when we get to Muppets.
Anyways, and so they're running away to be safe. The slug horse.
Oh my god!
I love the slug horse. I have an affinity for slugs and snails. I think they're adorable. But her name's Delilah.
I love that.
We do. It's very cute. So they run away on their slug horse, and they run to the doctor's mansion because he's rich. Because he is.
Yeah.
And like they're sitting there, and Jim has this weird, like a Rubik's Cube, like gold ball sphere thing that the pirate guy crashed into, gave him. And they're messing around, and Jim just is fiddling with this Rubik's Cube because, of course, Jim has ADHD. That's what that scene told me.
That's what you got out of that scene? Yeah, not that he's wicked smart and
he's also smart.
He's wicked smart and able to puzzle solve, and like that's kind of mechanically intelligent. Like,
you can do two of those things and have ADHD.
I mean, that is true, but like,
I'm joking about the ADHD thing.
Are you? Are you joking?
Only a little bit, but only because like I was watching this, you know, for the like actually paying attention to it, not just like as background, like I did last time I watched this, and like he wasn't even like really like looking at it. He's just fiddling it with it as he's like they're talking. Like he's not sitting there like, you know, focusing on it and like puzzling. He's just like and he figures it out really fast.
But have you ever seen someone do like someone who's really good at Rubik's cubes doing a Rubik's cube? They don't even look at that shit.
Yeah, I know, because I've tried to be that person. I am not that person. I can solve it. I just can't do it fast, and I have to look. Being able to do that so fast, I mean, like, yes, he is smart, and yes, he is very mechanically inclined because of the whole solar, as we know, based off that really cool scene at the beginning, the windsurfing. Yeah. It's important.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Okay. He built it himself.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. He got it taken away by the cops, but it's really cool. So they find the map, and they decide, oh, let's go on this treasure hunt. It's real. We gotta do this. And the mom lets him.
Well, the mom is like, that sounds like a terrible idea. And then Doppler's like, I'm going to go with you. And then she's like, actually, it was the one joke that the doctor made that actually made me laugh at the very beginning. He has a couple of good jokes, but one of them was are you saying this because you really think it's a good idea or because you really want to go? And he goes, I really, really, really want to go. And that was the only time the doctor made me laugh in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a good joke.
It was a good joke. But she still lets him go, which is ridiculous. I wouldn't let my child go with that doctor.
I think it makes sense for the mom to let him go, though, because, like, there's a bunch of bloodthirsty pirates after this thing, and
That's
she wants
true.
him to just sit there and not actually, like, get the treasure.
I'll just drop kick it somewhere.
But also, like, she knows her son. Is he really going to do that?
Yeah, it's true.
He also keeps getting in trouble with the cops anyway.
Yeah, so maybe this is like her version of sending him to boarding school.
I mean, that's literally what the doctor says explicitly.
I did not remember that joke. Well, I think Disney should hire me as their writer because I'm making the same jokes 20 years later.
Well, it was part of the because I really want to go joke, which is why I remember it.
Gotcha. So they head off to the coolest spaceport, the Crescent Moon spaceport. And I remember the first time watching this being like, oh, it's a moon. And then they get in closer and they find out it's an artificial like spaceport. It's just made of cool space things, but like so aesthetic. And I love this part of how it looks. And I know a lot of people don't like the 3D and 2D mix, which in parts of the movie, absolutely. But in this part, I love this whole scene of them zooming in. And it's really cool, this whole movie, we haven't talked about it yet, but they really tried to, why they did the 3D stuff is because the directors and then the producers really wanted to make it seem more like an action movie and being able to do, like if you were a live action, you could like swing the camera in and do a lot of cool pans and stuff, where in animation it's harder to do that when it's 2D. So that's part of the reason why they did that, which I enjoyed a lot.
I do like the spaceport. It looks very cool.
It's so cool.
I'm the one that doesn't like 2D, 3D mixing.
A lot of people don't.
When it works well, it works well. But
yeah, I mean, like for this,
a lot of times it didn't work well.
I mean, in this movie specifically, a lot of people didn't like that. All right, they get to the cool spaceport, the really cool spaceport, and then they find their ship, and the doctor is a dummy this whole time. But like, we need some comic relief.
Do we?
In a Disney kid movie, there's always there's always one character who is 80% comic relief.
But sometimes it's good.
Is it?
I mean, you know who else? Like, you know what these people also made? Aladdin.
Yeah, they also made Hercules and Little Mermaid.
Yeah, and you know what those all have? Decent comic relief.
I mean, I think the doctor in this part is annoying. I remember as a kid, I loved it. I thought it was so funny. I was like, this idiot is wearing a spacesuit. No one else is wearing a spacesuit.
He wasn't wearing a spacesuit. He's wearing a dive suit. The distinction is important, okay?
So, in this sci-fi world, they decide, because they purposely wanted to be, they had a 70-30 rule when they're editing or drawing it, animating it. It was 70% was supposed to be, of the vibe was supposed to be 1800s, pirates, Treasure Island vibe. 30% was supposed to be sci-fi, right? And because of that 70-30, that is why a lot of the pirates have very old-looking weapons and stuff, minus Long John Silver, who we haven't met yet. But that's also why no one's wearing spacesuits and they're all wearing like piratey gear. Yeah. Sailor gear is because of that. But what's really cool about the 70-30 rule is that all the sound effects also had to apply to that.
Oh, that is cool.
It's really cool, yeah. And so almost all the sound effects are either practical, anything the folio artist can do with, their bodies, and not like anything that had batteries, essentially. Only 30% of that. Which is why, like, again, later on, Long John Silver, a lot of his, like, adaptation things, the sound effects are very practical, which is why it's not super sci-fi, hyper-realistic.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. But we finally get to meet the captain.
Oh my god, the captain is so cool.
The captain is so cool. Emma Thompson. Dame Emma Thompson. Like, they got her.
Literally. Literally.
But, like, she is so cool. And, like, I love that they, again, we can talk about the adaptations later. I keep not waiting till later. But, like, they changed the boring captain, in my opinion, kind of, to this really cool, a female captain, which is finally we have it's a feline female captain.
Who they only made female so they could put her with the doctor.
No.
Yeah.
So they could get Emma Thompson to be the voice.
I mean, I'll take your word on it because they'll do the production, but that's always the vibe I got, and it's always annoyed me.
You're so caught up on the romance between them. And, like, this is something I've known going into this, but, like, like, especially rewatching it, once we get through there, I have thoughts about your thoughts on it.
You
but,
have
like,
thoughts on my thoughts.
She is so cool. Like, she's swinging around on those ropes because, again, she's like a cat, like, feline alien.
I also really like that they kind of beefed up Arrow's role in this so that she has somebody more to play off of. Because that's part of the, like, captain's problem in the book is we don't really get him playing off of anybody. He's just by the book, like, strict to the rules, like, yada, yada, yada. Everything needs to go my way. Whereas, like, this captain is also like that, but because she gets to play off of Arrow and kind of, like, get that funny dialogue, it gives her, you know, a touch more of personality, like you were saying.
Yeah, definitely more than the one in the book, for sure. But, like, she's funny. She's a badass. She doesn't care that she's the only female in this boat. Like, and
she's not. There's, like, an alien head.
Oh, yeah, there's that alien head. Sorry. Apologies to the alien head. I need to make a supercut of every time I make these dumb apologies to fictional things. Because I find it very funny. But yeah, she's cool. Arrow is this big old
rock
dude. And he's very much like Arrow, like not like Arrow in the book. Because Arrow in the book gets drunk, I guess.
He's very much like by the book, like follow the captain's orders, like a good secondhand man. Yeah. Not a lot of stuff going on.
He's lived his whole life in the military, and you can tell.
Yeah.
Whereas you know the captain has like had an outside life outside of the military because she's not born and a robot and like orders. Yeah. Kind of way. And then they send Jim down to help out the ship's cook, and then we meet the cyborg, which I love, and Mingus is making out for those, again, audio podcast. Mingus is like making sarcastic eye movements. Not quite rolling her eyes, but she does apparently.
His name is not actually Long John Silver, because this is not Long John Silver. It's, I had a really good joke. It's Tall Harry Copper.
I don't think that's a good joke. Because it's such a knockoff. Is that the...
Well, because it's not Long John Silver. That's my problem.
I think it is.
It's so not, though. Well, we got to talk about it later. Let's just get to the synopsis, unless we're just going to continue to argue about this, because we're going to argue back and forth for like another 40 minutes about this. Like, I'm ready to die on this shit, man. He's a, like, good-ass character. Don't get me wrong. But he's not Long John Silver.
All right. We can argue about that later, but anyways, we meet Long John Silver, who is a cyborg, and remember, we have to beware the cyborg. So, of course, Jim is like, at first, kind of like, but then the chef is like, oh, my arm that's like a multi-tool is actually for cutting. Look at it. Chop, chop, chop. Stir, stir, stir. Making some stew. There's an eyeball in it. Randomly. What about Morph?
I love Morph.
I love Morph.
Morph is so cool.
Morph is cooler than any bird could ever be.
Morph is like what comic relief should be. A nonverbal little animal creature who just does funny stuff in the background.
Interesting. I mean, yes, and also, I don't know. Yeah. Morph is great. But Morph has a bigger part than the parents.
Just comic relief, yeah.
He actually has some important parts.
Yeah.
But Morph is this cool little blob that morphs into things, as you say.
And he's pink.
So instead of waiting a while and like getting to know Long John Silver and being manipulated right away, Jim just directly asks Silver about Billy Bones. Like second conversation probably. He's like, do you know anything about Billy Bones? And he thinks he's being so sneaky, and But I'm equally parts I'm torn because I'm like that is what Jim Hawkins as a teenager would do.
Yeah.
Like if Jim Hawkins in the book was actually 15, this is what he would do. But also it's such a dumb move. Like you gotta wait a day and then you make the dumb move.
Well, yeah.
But it's for the pacing.
It's for the kids.
And it's for
the kids.
Yeah.
And they need to answer the question of why doesn't he think that he's the guy? He does. He does, like immediately.
Yeah.
But, like, something that they do in this that I do think is, like, really interesting is even though it's not the same character, I really do like Silver's relationship with Jim. It's very, very interesting. I really like how they kind of start off antagonistic. And Silver's modus operandi in this version, because again, he's not actually Long John Silver, is I'm just going to work this kid to the bone so he's so tired that he doesn't think anything.
Yeah.
Which I think is I think that's a fun character change, except it's not Long John Silver.
I mean, it is a way to manipulate people. It is a way to manipulate people.
We're going to... You're not wrong, but it's not how Long John Silver does it.
So we set off so they're setting off to Treasure Planet, and we have montages of Jim like doing chores and just kind of being exhausted, and slowly he's being more friendly towards Long John Silver and vice versa. And we have this montage of...
And it was at this moment that I wrote down this note of, I think I would like this more if I wasn't so attached to the original story. And then I had to reframe it and revisit the way I was approaching this movie. And I was like, all right, I am coming to the conclusion that I actually may like this movie a little bit.
Yeah. Because the song, I'm Still Here.
Oh my God, yeah.
And the montage, it is so good. Because
and the little faces that Silver's making as Jim is slowly growing on him. I'm
they're growing on each other. It's not just it's not just Jim trying to spy on this guy who's sketchy, and it's not just Silver trying to get this guy to stay away so he doesn't find anything out about the pirates being there.
It's Jim genuinely impressing Silver with the way that he's going about these tasks.
And then Silver wanting to teach him to do cool stuff. But then he through this Goo Goo Dolls song, which is a bop. It is a great song.
Makes me cry every time.
Every time. There's flashes of
It's a staple on many of my character playlists. Anyway, there's flashes of Jim.
There's flashes of Jim's daddy trauma, because they'll be oh, his dad left, and as a kid he's very sad, and you see Silver almost leaving him in a very similar way, but then Silver's come with me, I'm gonna teach you. And then they see space whales. Space whales are so cool. And there's manta rays in this. I just love the nonsensical sci-fi. Yeah. It's my favorite kind of sci-fi. Sci-fi that does not follow normal rules.
I don't like it.
Because it doesn't follow normal rules of sci-fi?
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't follow rules, period.
It follows their rules. We don't know the rules.
It doesn't make sense.
We don't know the rules.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, they're space whales. We don't know the rules.
Yeah, fair. Space whales are pretty cool.
The space whales are so cool. And the song, and it's so good. And
the moment when he the little I want to talk about that montage for a minute, because the moment where Jim is running down just trying to say goodbye to his dad, and he almost flings himself off the dock, and his dad just leaves. I'm like, damn, Jim's dad, you and I gotta have a talk real fast, bro.
You suck. Also, the space whales are called Orcus galacticus.
Oh, that's so cute.
And I really like that. I love the space whales. And I love that montage so much. And I like all the animation in that montage too. I think most of the animation on the pirate ship is good. With the backgrounds are cool, even with the 3D and the 2D mixing.
100%.
Yeah, so on the moon it's good, on the pirate ship is good.
And then we get to the part where I'm sitting here and I'm like, look, I know that we're committed to an aesthetic. But this makes no goddamn sense. You are in a world where there are solar flares popping out and you are tying yourselves to the ship with goddamn rope. And no one has ever thought that maybe we should be in a closed ship, and maybe we should have a closed deck so that we don't have people blowing off of the goddamn ship. That makes no sense to me. I hate it.
I understand if you want to stick to the pure sci-fi rules, but again, it's 70% pirate 1800s, 30% sci-fi.
See, that I didn't know about going into it, and that makes a little more sense, but it really
Well, how else could they kill off Arrow without it being a gun, a stab? They can't have alcoholism in a Disney movie. What kind of storm are they going to have in space? Black hole.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not I'm just sitting there and I'm all I can think about is it's so stupid that you have an open-aired ship while this shit happens.
Yes, it does not make sense. But if we want to think about the lore of this world, which I'm sure you've tried.
No, I don't like it enough to think about the lore of this world.
That surprises me. I have tried for a second. I think there was probably a really big class disparity, hence why they're using wooden boats in space, and probably the rich people have the nicer stuff. I'm just assuming based off the lore that I do not know, that I'm making up. But anyways, so they're dealing with a black hole, and they're trying to like. Jim is in charge of tying everyone down, and he ties everyone down. He does a good job. Good old Jim. But the evil spider clawed lobster.
Can we please
pirate,
talk about him? He sucks.
He sucks. And
he's a bad character. He's only there so that that Silver looks better. And I'm like, bitch, if you wrote him properly, Silver can just look like a bastard, and then you don't need Scroop.
Yeah, but like, Scroop is there for the kids. Scroop is there because the kids need an obvious bad guy. Weird looking spider alien, obvious. That's red. Obviously a bad guy.
Like you keep saying that like this for the kids. It's for the kids. It's for the kids. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, I know where you're coming from, and I know where you're coming from. I really do. But at the same time, like, you can do this stuff and have it be good. You know?
Yeah. But did you see that when the black hole's solving, Silver is like cuddling Sam, or not Sam. Silver, I wrote it down too. Silver is cuddling Jim.
And the face he makes there. And I'm
the
like,
ship to make sure he's safe. And I'm like, Silver's just doing the best he can, being a single dad who has 2 jobs, who loves his kid and never stops.
Yeah, that's a good moment, and I also wrote it down.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I'm
not even going to make a crack about it not being Silver.
I like how close they get because it makes the betrayal so much better, in my opinion. We'll get to that when I get to the betrayal, because I know you have different opinions than me.
Okay. We'll talk about when we talk about the betrayal, because like I have like 2 things I think this would fix it for me. But,
yeah.
You know.
So
Arrow dies.
Arrow gets sucked into the black hole, and that's how he dies.
Because Scroop like snaps the line, and then he blames Jim, and poor Jim is very upset about it. And then he's
so upset about it.
And then he and Silver have like a little heart to heart, and it's very cute.
It makes me cry. Here's what he said that made me cry. He says, "You got the makings of greatness in you," and it just like it makes me cry. I love their relationship so much. I don't care for Jim as a character in the book or in this one, really, besides little me thinking he was cute. But like at this moment, I'm like, okay, now I want to care about you because Silver cares about you. And it just makes their connection so much better. And I love it because he's gonna get betrayed. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Well, because the other thing that this movie does that we didn't really talk about is they reveal like within 10 minutes of meeting Silver that he's like leading a mutiny.
Yeah. Soon after the Arrow thing and the heart-to-heart, they get to Treasure Planet.
And we get to the apple barrel scene, the crux of every Treasure Planet, the canon event of every Treasure Planet.
Truly. Truly. So the apple barrel scene, Jim is betrayed. He just had this heart-to-heart with his adopted pirate chef daddy.
Please don't call him daddy.
He's Jim's daddy. Anyway, and he's heartbroken.
No, because specifically, fucking Scroop comes in, and he's like, I overheard your conversation with the kid. I think you're going soft. And then Silver's like, no, I just said all those things because I just said all those things to make the kid like me, and yada, 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 even though we as the audience already know that he, like, said to himself, oh, I'm becoming too soft. I gotta be getting in too deep. Like, I don't know. It's one of the things that bugs me.
I like it. I think it's realistic. I know it's not like as...
But that's why he's not Long John Silver. The fun with that character is the ambiguity of how much does he like really like Jim and how much of it is like him putting on an act. So imagine, if you will, we still have all these great scenes and we still have all these great conversations, and then they just cut out the part where like Long John's like, yo, I'm getting too soft, and he's just like walks away, and it leaves it up into the air and audience interpretation of whether or not he meant it 100% in that moment.
In the book, I don't have as much an opinion on whether or not he is close to Jim, really. Well, because Jim is closer to the Doctor, for sure. But, like, in the book, I'm not as, like, oh, he's a bad guy still. I'm not as... what I'm trying to say is I'm equally convinced in both the book and in the movie that Long John Silver likes Jim.
Oh, yeah. But, like, I think, at least to my interpretation of it, first of all, like, in the book, Long John and Jim just aren't as close because Long John is manipulating everybody on the crew.
Yes.
Everyone on the crew at all times, which is like, again, this one doesn't, and it kind of sucks because he's not Long John Silver.
He doesn't do that because that's not his that's not the story's purpose of him. Because it's not a story about a whole bunch of people going. It's a story about one kid. And we're seeing it very heavily biased from this one kid. Not literally his perspective.
Well, and also like, they set it up so that everyone on the ship is like the pirate crew already, except for like the 4 people, which, you know, raises the question, why aren't you just like killing everybody in their sleep and taking the map?
Yeah. Yeah, but like, it's a kid's movie.
You keep saying that.
Yeah.
Because it is a kid's movie.
They're not going to kill everyone in the sleep.
I know. But like, a good movie wouldn't make me think that, you know?
Yeah. If it was a movie for adults, probably.
No, like there are kids' movies where this shit happens, and I'm not sitting there thinking, why is this happening? Because the story somehow, either with good characters or good writing, makes me not think about it. And this movie doesn't do it for me.
See, I don't think about it because Silver in this movie is such a good character. And, like, maybe he's not, like, the perfect adaptation for you, I think, because you're so attached to the book version, which is fair. He's a great character in the book. Absolutely. He's so cool.
Like this, again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but my favorite part about Silver is the ambiguity. And I feel like that version is missing out. And honestly, that leads me to the next point is my big problem with this Silver is he's not menacing. Yeah. There is not a single point in this story where I'm scared of Silver. And that's just like, you need to be scared of Silver because he's supposed to be intimidating. Yeah. And it just doesn't feel like it's the same character at all because you have reluctant father figure Silver, which is great, but then you don't have the cool, magnificent bastard can kill anybody in 2 seconds flat from the book. Yeah. Yeah. He isn't that scary. He's not scary, period. Yeah. Because the other thing is, like, okay, sorry. So Long John, like, Jim finds out that he's evil. Long John, like, says, all of this stuff was a lie, which, of course, we know is a lie. But so we have a misunderstanding, guys, between the two characters, because it's a kid's movie, and you got to have a misunderstanding. And then Jim, like, goes to go tell the captain. Silver figures out pretty quickly that Jim knows. They have a confrontation in the galley. Jim goes up to, like, the cabin. They start the mutiny right away. They manage to... Him, the doctor, and the captain manage to get off of the ship, but without the map. Yeah. They think they have the map, but it's actually just morph being a little scrambled scumpo. And then there's the moment that also kind of annoys me, which annoys me is a strong word. I would rewrite it, and it'd be a better movie. Long John goes to shoot Jim, and then he can't do it. And it's like, bro, I know from this moment on that you're not going to hurt Jim no matter what. And there's no... Yeah. There's no, like... Like, if he went... There's no stakes. He should have tried to shoot Jim and then, like, move his hand or some... Or he just flat out missed. Or like, some alien... Like, something fell and then his arm missed, you know? Like, something like that. Yeah, that'd be so where it's not better, him missing, it's, like, something caused him to miss. Yes. Right? Yeah, I do think that's better. But anyways, they eventually get to Treasure Planet, which is actually called Treasure Planet, which is way cooler than Skeleton Island. If you know from the last podcast, you should listen to it. Otherwise, you'll miss my little anger about that. But yeah, so they get to Treasure Planet. And they have the stockade in this version, which I didn't realize like, the first few times I went through this. And I'm not sure I did. Yeah. So, like, yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, they get to the island. It's cool. Jim, they get to the island. He runs away. Like, okay. They get to the island. The doctor's hurt. No. So they get to the island. On the way down, they get shot by the plasma cannons. The captain gets hurt on the way there. Doctor is trying to take care of the captain, and like the captain like sends Jim to go find somewhere for them to stay. Yes. Jim runs into Ben. B.E.N, which is their version of Ben Gunn. And okay, so background context, we watched this with our students. Amanda really did not
like Ben, and I didn't have an opinion from him when I was a kid. I thought he was just like, oh, another like goofy character, whatever. I really like Ben in this. He is
Why?
Because it's what's his face?
Martin Short?
Martin Short is hilarious. I love Martin Short's voice.
Okay.
And I just enjoy him. And then also I just want to say something. Ben walked so Olaf could run. Ben and Olaf are so similar to me in my brain. They are so similar and like characteristics. Like he has different like purposes, you know?
Yeah.
But like the way they act and the way that they're like ditzy are different slightly, but they're very similar. Like I don't know, they just like take up the same place in my brain. But Ben walked so Olaf could run.
I don't have an opinion about that. I'm going to say something and you're going to be annoyed. Martin Short's voice annoys the hell out of me.
I love Martin Short.
I think it's just so grating to me. Like, even when he's saying funny things, I don't think it's funny because I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh my God.
So originally they were going to have Martin Short have like a robotic voice, like through like a system. They did a first take first when it was just him practicing his lines. And then they did it with the robotic stuff. And they decided that the robotic stuff did not match their 70-30 rule. And also they all loved Martin Short's performance so much. They'd like, we have to keep it as is because he is brilliant. So, and also I looked on Letterboxd at the other reviews and everyone was raving about about Martin Short's performance. So everyone loved it on Letterboxd, which is not as popular as like other movie review sites. But
yeah.
So I think
different strokes for different folks.
I think you just don't like his voice, which is fair because like I don't like what's his face? National Treasure.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I don't like his face. I can't handle it. And Jim Carrey can't handle his face either.
Fascinating.
Yeah, but like I just can't deal with it.
I also don't like Ben's animation. I think for me that's like the worst example of the 3D sticking out in an awkward way.
I find it very nostalgic because it, like, again, I watched this when I came out. Like, I saw this in theaters because we weren't allowed to see Harry Potter, which we'll talk about later.
I think I saw this in theaters when I was 5.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
I don't remember it very well.
Yeah. But, like, I really like it because it makes me... I think what I like about Ben and the weird 3D that, like, you don't like... which is fair, but I really like it because back in the early 2000s, everyone was trying to do this weird 3D, and it almost worked for everyone. And I remember seeing this, and I was like, I like it. And it reminds me of everyone trying to do this cool new animation and it not working. Mm-hmm. And like not just them, but like VeggieTales tried it. Like everyone tried it.
Yeah.
And but it's really nostalgic for me because that's like the animation like that was coming out when I was little. So like that's like the true nostalgic for me. Like not like Cinderella and Snow White, that's old. That's like nostalgic. But that like weird, like the Hercules where it's almost 3D in parts, but not all of it. Like it's very similar. So I think I like it because it's the nostalgia.
No argument, because Ben in the books is also
awful.
It's also very annoying and all, but you know what I can do in the book? Ooh, what's the important information? All right, we're going to skip all this, like, confusing bits.
But also, Ben in the movie is not in there that long.
No, he's not.
Barely in there, which I think is good.
But then every minute he's on screen, he's talking.
I don't mind that.
I do. So anyway, Ben leads Jim to the stockade. Or it's not really a stockade. It's his, like, hideout, and it's, like, what takes place at the stockade. Silver comes out and tries to, like, have, like, basically, like, a parlay. Jim figures out that they think that he has the map. Also, this Jim and Silver talk is like, I know you don't mean it, so it's really annoying that this character doesn't know the information that I know. That's so frustrating. And again, I call your attention to, wouldn't it have been cool if we just didn't know if he meant it?
Yeah. Yeah, it would. But I don't mind it that much.
I know.
Yeah. But Jim and Ben run away to go get the ship first.
Yeah,
right?
so they go through the back entrance to get back up to the ship to get the map because
they discover that Treasure Planet is all a computer. It's all built. It's all fake because he opens this back door and he can go all the way through it. And Jim's like, that's weird, as I'm talking to this talking robot who's been here for hundreds of years, ? Who also has literally lost his brain because it's been ripped out of him by the wires that are loose. Jim is a dummy. You can put 2 and 2 together. But, you know, as he is in the book.
He's smarter than he is in the book.
Well, yeah, because he can do techie stuff. And
he can put 2 and 2 together.
Eventually.
And he doesn't run away with pirates for no goddamn reason.
True. True.
And then so, like, Jim gets up to the ship. And then, you know, he fights off with Scroop and he gets the map. Mm-hmm. And he manages to kill Scroop, kind of. Scroop really just ends up in true Disney fashion, falling into the abyss.
Yes.
And it's not really Jim's fault. So don't worry, guys. The hero of this kid movie didn't actually kill anyone.
Yep. Yeah, but they get back. They get the boat. Right?
They get the map. They get the boat.
Map. That's what they're looking at. I was like, why are they going back to the boat?
And then they like go through it.
All these treasure planets are melting. All these treasure islands are melting into my brain, and they're all becoming one awful Frankenstein in my brain.
That's why I'm here. So he goes back in. He climbs back into the stockade, and we have like, except for like one part of it, which is fine. It's like a shot for shot, like, thing of what happens in the book. Jim comes up and he like goes to somebody and whoops, it's Silver. It's not his
That part
captain.
is kind of creepy.
That part, no, it's not.
As a kid, I was creeped out.
Okay. As a kid, I was creeped out by Ben. So.
But I think that's I thought it was creepy when he was like, it's classic bad guy move. Like, oh, the silhouette. Oh, it's not.
But it's also that part, that very brief. It's the only time that they do kind of capture the horror in the book, and I'm talking about the fight on the boat. Mm-hmm. Like that's like it really does capture that feeling on the book. It does,
yeah.
And one of the notes that I wrote on this page over here is like, you know, plot-wise, this is actually really, really good, and I was being really hard on it for no good reason.
Mm-hmm. That's hence why when I was reading the book, I was like, oh, this is like in Treasure Planet. Oh, this is like in Treasure Planet. Oh, this is like in Treasure Planet the whole time. And I kept getting them confused because they're so similar.
Yeah.
But anyways, Long John Silver and the pirates are like, well, we got you captured. Unless you guys want to be dead, you got to show me the map. And Jim
leverages it because he's the only one that can open the map.
Mm-hmm. And so they go off to find the map, and there's actually a treasure hunt in this movie, which is so good. I mean, it's just them walking to the edge and then Jim solving it, which is pretty cool that the kid figures it out, you know?
Yeah.
Classic, like, boomer asking the millennial how to take a screenshot on their iPhone kind of vibe, though.
Yeah.
It's like, put the ball where there is a place for a ball.
Yeah, but, like, my problem is, once, like, I feel like I've said this before and I'm kind of reiterating it. Once Scroop is dead, I'm not really scared about Jim at all with the pirates. Because I know that Silver's not going to let anything happen to him.
No, but also now it's just like Jim wanting to get the treasure before the pirates do. So now that's the new, like, conflict.
But that doesn't work because he's immediately captured.
Yeah. But, like...
So how is he supposed to get the treasure?
Well, that's why he's like, well, you can't get it without me.
Yeah.
So at least he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, man. When the part where they're, like, scrambling and, like, all the pirates are like, we're going to kill that kid. And, like, Silver's like, man, you better figure something out. I'm like, I'm not scared because I know he's going to figure it out. And it's kind of dumb.
It's a Disney movie.
You say that, but, like, there are good versions of this where I don't think about these things.
Okay. I don't know what to say.
That's fair.
I didn't mind it that much.
The reveal is really cool of, like, the how he appears out of nowhere.
The portal
yeah,
is so cool.
That's
and, like,
such
the
a good
idea of, like, I want a story or, like, a miniseries on Captain Flint and visiting all these worlds.
You should watch Black Sails.
I don't know what that is.
It's a prequel series about Captain Flint. It's not actually this one specifically.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to watch one about
the regular pirate.
Yeah.
All right. Fine.
I wanted the space pirates. I want space pirates. Space pirates. But the portal is so cool, and he's, like, flashing all these different worlds, and then they finally find the treasure, and they go into it, and there's a booby trap. When I watch a pirate movie, I want 3 things. I want dumb rhyming songs in a bar.
Which they don't have.
They don't have it, that's true. But they have the Goo Goo Dolls, and I'll take the Goo Goo Dolls. That replaces it, okay? I want a treasure hunt. They have it. And I want booby traps. That's what the 3 things I want in a pirate movie. Mm-hmm. And we get, if I'm including the Goo Goo Dolls in this, we get all 3. It's almost Almost there. The Google Dolls is the 30% sci-fi to the.
Okay, technically speaking, it's 33% to 67%.
I mean, I know, but like, for the joke. But they go in the of course it's booby trapped, because of course it's booby trapped, these dummies. And I do like that they changed it, that eventually they have to like get out of there, and Ben is the like piece of the puzzle, because I don't like in Treasure Island that Ben just has the treasure. I think that is such a cop-out in many different ways, and it's not satisfying at all. And I don't care that they get the treasure, it's just not satisfactory to me. I like that even though they changed it so like they find the treasure, but Ben is the puzzle piece. It's very Goonie vibes to me. And I like that, where like they did the thing, but it's still technically out of reach because they're all about to die because this planet's going to explode. Yeah. And I like that high stakes.
Yeah, it's good high stakes. It's a good way to bring tension back into the story.
Yes.
And it's also, I will say, let's talking about the booby trap for a second. Mm-hmm. The first time I remember consciously watching this movie when I was like 12, mm-hmm. At like summer camp, mm-hmm. I was like, holy shit, it's booby trapped. Yeah. So like that part is very cool.
Booby traps are cool.
They are very cool.
Yeah.
And I didn't like Ben at that watch either because I was 12 and I was too cool for it. But when he gets his mind back and he does the booby trap reveal, it was worth it.
Yeah. And so now they're trying to escape the planet without dying, and Jim almost dies. But guess who saves him over the treasure?
Oh my God, Silver saves him.
Daddy Silver saves him.
I need you to stop calling him Daddy.
I mean, like, yes, this is not in character of the book's Silver, because the book Silver would have 100% been like, sorry, dude, I'm taking the treasure and leaving you.
But also, like, book Silver never would have gotten in this situation to begin with.
Exactly. Book Silver would have killed everyone before he got to the treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Book Silver, like if Book Silver was in this movie, he would have charmed everybody first.
Yes.
Scroop would have been dead significantly long ago.
Yes.
So he wouldn't have been there to fuck shit up.
Yep.
He would have gotten he would have gotten the doctor on his side.
Yep.
And he also would have been able to talk this version of Jim into being on his side too.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have those daddy-son moments.
Yes, that is true.
He wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have told him.
But also, like, kind of, I'm gonna also like pull it back for a second. Kind of the point of the book Silver's character is that he would never have been successful. So he also never would have gotten the treasure to begin with.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So he would not have gotten this far.
True.
He was doomed to fail. The escape is so cool, though.
The escape is so cool. It is. It's such a good ending to this, like, to the movie, I feel like.
And then the part where, like, Silver kind of dips out, I think they did that moment really, really well. It was such a good talk.
It's so good. So they escape the planet barely, they have...
Jim has to use his surfing skills.
Jim saves the day with his surfing skills.
Yeah.
He saves the day. And I remember first watching this and thinking, it's like, he's going to die in that valley and the volcano goo and all of that. And then he saves the day. And I loved it. As a kid, because I loved him when I was in second grade. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. But they get back on the ship and they're flying back towards the Crescent Moon port. And before they get there, Long John Silver is about to leave on the last little...
Longboat. They call it the longboat.
Yeah, the longboat. And Jim catches him and he's like, where are you going? And Jim, like, helps him untie it. Like, you can go. Like, I like you too. This is, I don't want you to get caught. And they have this really cute little moment. And Long John Silver says, you're going to rattle the stars, you are. And I cried again. And then Morph is, like, sad because he has to leave Jim. And then Long John Silver says, keep an eye on Jimbo. Also, we didn't talk about how he calls Jim Jimbo the whole time, and I love that.
It's very cute.
It's very cute. Immediately. Hey, Jimbo. Immediately. Yeah, I love it.
It's very cute.
I cried also when Morph had to say goodbye to Captain. Or to Long John Silver. I was like, Morph.
It's a lot of crying.
It's a heartfelt movie. This movie has heart.
Okay.
It does have heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might not be perfect in your eye, but it has heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also skipped your other favorite part.
What's my other favorite? Oh, yeah, the romance.
It's not a romance.
I deliberately skipped that.
You keep saying that it's a romance. A romance?
Okay, sorry. When they shove two characters together because, God forbid, we have a male and the female ends the movie unmarried.
I mean, I do agree that is dumb. I wouldn't call it a romance, though, is that Dr. Dobler, who is a failing flirting buffoon, flirts again, and, like, does she kiss his cheek or something like that? I forget. I don't even remember. They don't even think they kiss, do they?
Not on screen. We just see them with kids.
Oh, at the end. I forgot. Yeah. We don't see them, but, like, so they,
So literally, like,
flash forward.
And then Ben has that goddamn remark, which is like, oh, the happy couple, when he's literally treating her life-threatening injuries. And I'm like, thanks. Thanks, guys.
I didn't catch that part.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it a romance because for me, a romance has to have, like, we have to, like, see the relationship develop. Whereas here, it's more like, oh, these two characters, oh, in the future, they're together, which I, like, isn't great. Like, they could do better. But I wouldn't consider that a romance.
Okay, fine. It's not a romance, but it's annoying as hell.
It is annoying. Because
they also, like, slip in all those, like, stupid little remarks that tell you that they're going to end up together, even though they, like, argue all the time. And I hate that. It makes me so annoyed.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, so, like, Treasure Planet's a lot better than I give it credit for.
Yeah.
I, like, went back into, like, the ranking that my family did, and I upped the plot because I was like, man, I gave this a 6 for plot, and that's not fair. I changed it to a 9 because that's what it deserves for plot. It's very good.
It's very good.
Middle and end are so good. I don't like the beginning, as we've discussed. The characters just don't do it for me.
Yeah.
And I don't get it either, man. I don't get it either.
I really think you don't like the characters because you were so attached to the books, the original characters, and they changed them just enough that they aren't this perfect and the same.
Them a lot,
but they're not that different. Honestly, they're
personality wise, they're so different.
Honestly, the book characters to me didn't have personality. Because I thought the book was boring.
And I know that's what we keep circling back to, and that's fine. We have different opinions, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But, like, the personalities are just so different. The only thing that they kept is that the Squire character is a bumbling idiot who's actually a good shot.
Yeah.
Which was, like, a funny little character detail that they kept in. And I was like, that's so wild. Of all the details you get right from the book, that's one of them.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, I would argue, like, Smollett and Amelia are pretty similar characters. Just Amelia's is fun.
Yeah.
And Smollett's not.
Yeah.
And Jim, like, is edgy teen version of Book Jim, who's just there.
Yeah.
And then, as we discussed, Long John Silver, totally different characters. Scroop is like the Israel Hands, except they made Israel Hands competent and not a drunkard who dies of his own bad luck.
They can't make him a drunk.
I know they can't make him a drunk.
If it was 1980s, they could. It's 2002. They cannot make him a drunk.
I know.
Yeah.
But also, they made him so much scarier to make him the main villain, pirate, bad guy. And it's like...
Children don't like nuance.
Okay, but, like, in all seriousness, all jokes aside, I think you're right in the sense of, to be commercially successful, these are things that people had to do in. Mm-hmm. Speaking for myself as a child, I really did enjoy a lot of things that weren't as simple as black and white and this and that. I enjoyed the nuance of it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand it, and I liked thinking about it.
I mean, I think this movie...
It's a solid, like, 7 out of 10 for me.
I would just say an 8 out of 10 for me. I think you are right with there's not enough scary stuff with the pirates. The pirates need to be scarier.
It's not even that they need to be scarier. It's just Long John needs to be menacing. He's not.
Yeah, he needs... Yeah, I agree with that. But also, I love him and Jim's relationship so much that I'm like, I'll look past it. It's fine. I love it. Just because, like, it's such a... I don't know. I feel like it does in a good way that a lot of kid movies that are like, that have that similar vibe of like not Toy Story, but like, other like, oh, these are like dad or like stepdad and son movies, like adopted father, whatever. They doesn't hit my heart the same way that this one does.
That's fair.
And I think it's because of the Goo Goo Dolls. And I don't know if it's only because of the Goo Goo Dolls or because of the Space Pirate. I don't know. I don't know what exactly why, because I don't care about Jim.
I care a little bit about Jim.
I don't.
I don't care about him in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I love their relationship. Do you want some fun facts that you probably already know?
Possibly.
Cool. So this movie was first pitched in 1980s, and they were like, no. And then they pitched it a second time, and they were like, no. And then they pitched it a third time in 1985, and they're like, yes, but after you finish Hercules. Or no, 1995, sorry.
Yeah.
But after you finish Hercules, and they're like, okay, cool. They started making it in 2000. It took 2 years. They had different teams that were assigned to each character.
It's Musker and Clements, by the way.
Yes. I don't know the names. And so they had different characters. It was really interesting to read about like different teams for each character so that they would be different enough of how they're animated, which I thought was interesting. They wanted to keep the world warm, which is why it's more of the 70% like 1800s piratey stuff and less of the cold sci-fi stuff. Because a lot of the sci-fi stuff in the early 2000s, it's like apocalyptic, like steel. You know, they wanted to stay away from that kind of stuff. They purposely, obviously it's obvious, but they purposely wanted to focus on this retelling with Long John Silver and Jim's relationship. That was like a hardcore purpose that they really wanted to do. And there was a sequel planned that got canceled immediately after the opening weekend for this movie. Do you know about the sequel planned?
I knew that there was a sequel. I knew that this movie did badly because they bombed it on purpose. There's a really good YouTube video about it.
Yes. But so the sequel that they had planned and pitched was a mini-series where essentially Jim and then this girl named Kate that he meets at whatever high school he goes to, or like our academy, like Starship Academy, have to go on an adventure with Long John Silver to stop Ironbeard, who is an evil pirate coming to destroy things, who is going to be played by Willem Dafoe. Cool. Yeah, that's what it was. And I thought that was interesting. I, as a child, would love it. As an adult, I don't want that. But if I was 8, I'd be all into it. Super into it. Because I loved those spin-off Disney Channel shows. But that was when I was 8. Not currently. But yeah, the movie did bomb because it opened the same weekend as Harry Potter, as Disney's own Santa Claus 2. But really, the thing is that it opened the same weekend as Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. Not a good look. I really enjoyed this movie, and I think it is my favorite adaptation I've seen of Treasure Island. And I like it more than the book. I think this movie's better than the book. And that's my opinion. You don't have to agree.
I think it's a very good plot adaptation. I think the characters are incredibly, incredibly radically different. And you know what? That's kind of all I have to say about it. It's better than I remember it being, and I was really hard on it when I was talking to Jenessa for no reason last time we were watching it. Even like the text that I sent her at the beginning about how annoyed I was all of that stuff was at the beginning of the movie, and it was that I'm already angry. I hadn't even started the movie yet.
It's incredibly frustrating. But anyways, I feel like I've won because you enjoyed the movie partially.
Yeah. Like, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't hit for me.
Yeah.
In a lot of places.
I think it hits for me. So, you know.
As we discussed.
So, next we're going to talk about Muppet Treasure Island from 1996. Before we start into this, what is your Muppet history?
What's my Muppet history?
Yeah,
okay, so like this is going to be kind of funny to you in the sense that Muppet Treasure Island was like the only Muppet movie that I really, really hardcore watched up until I was like 14. And then because I liked Muppet Treasure Island so much, I got into like Muppet Christmas Carol and the did I ever actually watch the Muppet movie? No, I watched Muppets Take Manhattan. I had a Muppet phase in high school that didn't last very long because they stopped showing the movies on the hub. And so then I was like, oh, okay. But I like the Muppets a lot. I like the music. I like the puppetry. But that's kind of the extent of it, honestly.
Yeah. My dad loves the Muppets. And so we watched a lot of the Muppets. We watched Muppet Christmas Carol every Christmas. It's one of my favorite Christmas carols. And then we watched a lot of the Muppet Show reruns. But I had seen this once or twice when I was a kid, but I definitely was scared of bits of it. So I didn't remember most of it going into it. So it's almost like watching it almost for the first time. Like I remember certain things. I was like, oh yeah, I remember. But like, I definitely didn't remember the vast majority of this. So we're gonna talk about the Muppets, and if you don't know who the Muppets are, go Google. Good luck with that. And
are you sure I can give an extensive history right now?
We don't need to. That's a different podcast. Actually, it's a really good podcast if you like the Muppets history. It's called Commitment is what it's called, and it's really good. It's a really good podcast. The intro song I do remember as from a kid, and this scared me as a kid, and I don't think I watched much of this movie because the intro scared me as a kid.
That intro's banger though, right?
It is. It's an intro.
So it's basically it's a song called Shiver My Timbers, and it's basically all of these like spooky, scary Muppets. Like they have skulls singing at one point. They are creepy Muppets. They have like an alligator pop its head out, and it's just singing this song about kind of giving you the backstory of the treasure that you're about to go find. About like this guy is dragging this like stuff, and all along they're singing, when there's money in the ground, there's murder in the air, murder in the air, murder in the air. And then they like end with the shot of Captain Flynn with his like crew of people all burying the treasure, and he just straight up kills them all. Yep. Yeah. And then it cuts to Billy Bones, who's the one who's telling the story.
Yep, and I do like that it cuts to Billy Bones telling the story, and you know he's classic Billy Bones drunk in the Ben Bow, and I do.
He's a lot friendlier in this one, though.
He's way more friendlier, though. He's like the friendly drunk, the friendly regular that's always there. He's not like someone who's a chore to take care of, like in the book,
and refusing to pay.
Yeah, he's more just like, I'm always here. When the lady comes in, I thought that was the mom, and I was so confused. I was like, why is this mom ugly and drunk ? And apparently this version of Jim, as well as our buds Gonzo and Rizzo, little sidekicks, they are all orphans. And this is like a weird orphanage situation. Before we go further, I know we haven't got to the fun facts part at the very end, but I don't know if you know this, but they originally, the first draft of the script, they thought of making Gonzo and Rizzo, the Jim Hawkins character, naming one Jim and one Hawkins. And I kind of wish they would have, because I do not like Jim Hawkins' actor in here. He is this little, like, boy on the edge of puberty who has this awful mullet, and
his poor singing voice keeps cracking every time he sings.
He went, and this is another fun fact, his voice dropped through filming, so they had to go and redub with the first takes they'd taken before they even started filming a year earlier. So they had to redub it because his voice changed so much during the filming. Because why did they just make the octave lower? Why does he have to sing in that falsetto?
I don't know.
It's because it's a Muppet movie in the 1996. Really, that's the answer. But like, it was so annoying. And his first song, his "I Want" song, I do not like.
I like that song as long as I'm the one singing it.
His voice is not good.
It's not.
I don't mind the Muppets part. The Muppets are fun.
Yeah.
The Muppets when the Muppets sing, I'll let them sing about whatever they want.
But it's like fun. Jim cannot sing worth the damn.
That poor child.
That poor child. Like, I think, like, I disagree about the actor because I never paid attention to his hair, surprisingly. But, and I think when he's acting Jim, I think he's fine in the sense that Jim is boring and he's like carrying.
He's very boring.
He's very Jim. Okay.
He's
and
very
that's
mayonnaise.
Fine.
He's very just.
That's fine. That's plain. What I want for my Jim. He's just there so I can pretend that I'm the one who's going on the pirate adventure.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that is his purpose in the book as well.
And he's not annoying, except when he sings. He's not
annoying when he sings, but he's not annoying. He's just boring. Yeah. And I'm not interested in him at all. In that first song, Jim sings "Let Danger Call My Name," and Rizzo says, "If it does, I'll hide." And I'm like, I love Rizzo.
I love Rizzo with that song because he just like. There's also the part where like Jim is like, "I'm gonna go off and do this thing," and then Gonzo's like, "I'll be by your side. He'll be by your side." Rizzo chimes in, and it's such a fun little trio dynamic, and I really enjoy that.
I do like the trio dynamic. They do it well because, I mean, it's the Muppets. They're so good.
Yeah,
they're so good. So they have their "I Want" song, which is annoying. Yeah, because it's a weird falsetto, and then
it's a good song if you just don't let the kids sing it.
And then I didn't take extensive notes on this because I was a little bit bored already. And then do they immediately, that's when Blind Pew comes in?
Yeah, pretty much. As soon as they're done singing, Blind Pew comes in.
Blind Pew comes in, which is accurate to the book. Unfortunately, but they really play it up in the Muppets. And this is probably the second to worst thing in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very, I mean, it's 1996. And so, like, if I would have watched this as a kid, I would have thought nothing of it because that's what media was like, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I wish...
But he's just constantly bumping into things.
And it's turning his blindness into a slapstick humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not cool. But that Muppet that plays Blind Pew is a creepy Muppet.
It is a very creepy
And I'm
Muppet.
like, no wonder I didn't watch this. It was scary if I was little.
But like they captures the vibe from the book, but like it's a bad vibe from the book.
Yes.
And I was watching it. I'm like, Jenessa's going to have thoughts on this.
Yeah, it's not good. Not great. I mean, it's of the time.
I said, Pew is ...
I said, Blind Pew ... Interesting. But I do like that they do give Bones the black dot. I do like that they kept that bit. Like, the piratey...
The piratey part of giving him the black spot, kind of explaining it, having him kind of... I really did also like the fake out death. Yeah. Because, like, again, book accurate. He has the stroke, months go by, and then he, like, has another stroke. And this one, stroke. Yeah. Enough exposition to exposition this. Also, did you catch the Kissinger joke?
The Kissinger joke was great. And also, apparently, Kissinger's, like, niece or something was in part of the production team. Yeah, so I thought that was fun.
So, for those of you not in the know, there's a part where, like, they're rooting through Billy Bones' chest, and they pick up Henry Kissinger's diplomacy, and they throw it out because it's trash.
and then Billy Bones does another fake, like... stroke type thing, and the kids go over, the Muppets and the Jim goes over, and then the Muppets break the fourth wall like they do, which I love, and they're like, he's gonna die? But this is a kid's movie.
Yeah, that was my favorite joke when I was 8.
It's so good. I love breaking the fourth wall, and the Muppets do it in such a good way. It's not overdone. It's just good.
And one of the notes that we didn't have a time to talk to here is this movie's funny as hell.
Parts of it.
A lot of it.
Parts of it. But, like, that's a really good joke. And then as Billy Bones is about to die, he says, I have something else to tell you. And he says, beware of running with scissors and other sharp objects. And then he dies, and that was hilarious. Yeah. Like, there are really great bits. I wouldn't call this movie... We'll get to that at the end. I don't want to spoil my thoughts. But, like, that is a really good bit. Yeah. But essentially, after Billy Bones dies, the pirates... burst in, like, wrecking everything, trying to find him. Can I tell this
part? Because I love this part.
Sure.
So they come in to, like, you know, find the map. They figure out that Billy's dead, and they, like, start trying to find, like, Jim and the, you know, Gonzo and Rizzo. Jim and Gonzo and Rizzo and the lady are, like, all barred up in her room. And as they're, like, trying to get out, and they find, like, a little escape hutch, Gonzo and Rizzo have, like, this little bag of, like, gunpowder
that was a good bit.
Yeah. Where they're running through the entire inn, and they're accidentally spilling it while they're trying to figure out how to load the gun. Yeah. And then they drop the candle.
And so they set the whole
place on fire.
But, like, it's fine. She's a weird, like, mean, but also helpful lady.
Very realistic depiction of a lady who is done with everyone else's shit, but also doesn't want the children under her care to die.
Yeah, that is fair. That is fair. But
I also love the little bit, and I know it's probably one of the bits that you're like wasn't funny, but I love the bit where, like, they keep talking about her, and then she's like, "I'm fine." Yeah. And they're like, "How does she do that?"
That was a good bit.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it was a good, like, also, like, very much kids being like, how does mom know everything? It's, like, very plays to that vibe. But then they run away, and they run with the map. And
they're still covered in soot. Yes. Which is, like, something I noticed this time.
Yeah, which is good continuity for the Muppets. Which they're not great at continuity in general. And then they go to the Squire, who is played by Fozzie Bear, and that is excellent Muppet casting. I love Fozzie Bear is one of my probably top 5 Muppets. I don't even know. Anyways,
that's also exactly what I wrote.
I love Fozzie.
Trelawney as Fozzie is like genius casting because it just captures that airhead, like rich son with too much time on his hands vibe. And then Mr. Bimbo, the Mr. Bimbo bit.
Yes.
Oh my God.
The Mr. Bimbo bit of the thing. I didn't catch on to that till later. Because I like just wasn't really paying that much attention.
I've also watched this movie 8 times. Oh, for those, again, not in the know. Fozzie Bear has Mr. Bimbo who lives in his finger and tells him what to do.
Yes, it's very silly. Very Fozzie. Very on point. Thoughts on the doctor or the professor and Beaker?
I honest to God do not know his name, but he's the Green Muppet, and I really Beaker. Don't like that casting because, you know, once again, my boy doesn't get his time in the sun.
The doctor?
Yeah, my doctor.
It's almost like he's a boring character.
It's almost like he's nuanced and people should pay more attention to the things I like. But it's okay. I'm more forgiving about this version cutting out. I don't care about the Treasure Planet either because they have that great relationship with Silver. But it doesn't bother me that they kind of don't have it in this version because that's what Gonzo and Rizzo are there for.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean they're not father figure. They're like just
but also
friends.
Kermit kind of gets to lead into it a little bit and like
barely.
I know barely. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me because Gonzo and Rizzo are there, and there's somebody else who cares about Jim besides Silver.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I like those characters because they usually do fun like blowing up shenanigans, and I like pyrotechnical things. I thought it was fun. But they end up getting Fozzie, aka the Squire, to fund this
expedition. And he's like, what are rich half-wit sons for?
I know, that was a good joke. Yeah. And so they get on to the ship. They get onto the ship, and of course they meet all the different pirates. Is there a song here?
Not yet.
Not till they leave, right?
Not till they leave, yeah.
Yeah. So they're meeting all these pirates.
Tim Curry sings a song.
Right at the beginning?
Right. So, like, basically, they get onto the ship.
Yeah.
Jim gets put down in the cabin. He walks down, and they cut to Tim Curry singing "What Do We Do with the Drunken Sailor?"
Yes, and Tim Curry as Long John Silver is
inspired casting, right?
It's so good. Tim Curry in anything.
Tim Curry in anything, but like Tim Curry as Long John Silver.
Yes.
Look, we're going to talk about this later because, like, I'm going to go on when we're talking about the adaptation part of it. Like, it's literally it's so sad that the only thing he has ever been Long John Silver in the thousands of adaptations of Treasure Island is in the Muppet movie.
It's because he's a big Muppet fan himself.
I know.
Yes. We love Tim Curry. I do not like Lobster Polly.
Yeah.
I'm anti-Lobster Polly.
That's kind of dumb. Because it's also like I do like the joke.
The joke is funny at the beginning. I'm like, okay, did they do this for the joke? But then Lobster Polly's still there and still important-ish to, like, some events. And I'm like...
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't like Lobster Polly.
Tim Curry, again, inspired casting. He's like, oh yeah, don't be frightened of the fact that I lost my leg. Many men lost legs in the king's service, which is, like, you know, true. Historically accurate. Yeah. Muppets.
Yeah. Historically accurate, the Muppets.
Yeah, with the rat crews.
I don't want you to stick to that for what later happens in this movie.
I'm not going to stick to that. I'm just joking.
A little side note, they were trying to get Tim Curry to use the peg leg but it was so uncomfortable for him that he's like, can we just use a crutch instead and I'll just bend my knee? And they said, yes, because you're Tim Curry, we'll let you do whatever you want. And it's not literally. So that's why he has a crutch and he just bends his leg like classic, like child pretending to be a pirate kind of action.
Yeah. Again, why Tim Curry is brilliant casting. Also the writing, because it's like really good to like immediately address the leg and then also like point out, make another joke that diffuses attention. Mm-hmm. Plus, since this Jim is so naive / boring, it makes sense that he like is like, oh, okay, it's fine. And then Gonzo is still there being like, dude. And Jim's like, no, it's fine. He's nice.
Yeah, true. But then Rizzo has this side, which is, I found one of the most entertaining parts of the whole movie. Rizzo's like, well, if we don't find the treasure, we'll at least make out on top, because he has this side business where he's getting all these rats to go on this Caribbean cruise. And there's like, just like, so everything is in like 1800s-esque, like Muppet piracy fashion, and then these rats are just in like in Hawaiian shirts and visors and like just modern day life, and I'm like, the rats are ahead. It is the rat race and the rats are winning.
It's a great joke.
I love that the whole time. And before they get sent off, first we meet Samuel Eagle as casted as Arrow, which is the best Samuel Eagle casting I've seen, because Samuel Eagle is probably my least favorite Muppet because he's boring and too patriotic, but him as Arrow, perfect. They're the same.
Plus, I love the buildup of like Smollett coming out.
Yes. Yeah, they're like, he builds up and he's like, Arrow's sitting there being like, the captain is ruthless, you have to be perfect. He's gonna be angry, and like, you know, he keeps like saying things like, the first person to disobey gets shot on sight and all this like crazy stuff. And then the captain pulls up, and then this really gruely old like pirate guy that you like, oh, this guy is scary, gets out of the carriage and then moves to the side, and then it's Kermit the Frog pops out, and he's captain, and he walks on, and he is his classic Kermit, just very calm, very...
Kermit as Captain Smollett also inspired Muppet casting.
Absolutely.
Because he's such a perfect straight man to all this chaos.
Yes.
And it's great. And so like the bit where he's like, they do like the roll call.
I might have fallen asleep. But I think I didn't fall asleep here though.
Okay, so well, let me catch
I
everyone.
fell asleep later. I wrote it down.
Honestly, if you fell asleep in the later half of the movie, I understand.
I did.
I understand. Anyway, not the point. So like Smollett gets on board. They sing a song about sailing for adventure on the big blue wet thing.
Oh yeah, which is a fun joke the first time. The song, unnecessary. I will listen to it because it's Muppets, but it's unnecessary.
I like the song.
I listened to it once, so I don't have deep opinions. That's just my
instinct opinion.
Yeah.
I think the music in this is like fun.
The music's good. I just don't have strong opinions about it.
Yeah. Anyway, so then after that, they have the joke where they like do the roll call, and then they keep giving everyone these ridiculous like baby murder, like this and this.
They were good names. But then there was like Tom, old Tom, dead Tom,
really old Tom.
Dead Tom. That bit was good.
And then that's when Smollett is like, gentlemen, may I speak to you into the cabin? Who hired this crew?
Yep. Kermit freaking out in the cabin. Classic.
And then Long John does this thing. Which again,
yes.
Which is such a good move because it's a good thing from the book where he like comes in and he's like, Captain, here's a toast to like toast the journey, my finest brandy. And then Kermit's like, no, we're not going to drink. And then
Fozzie keeps toasting it out the window.
Because they keep going back and forth about it. And it's such a good like Long John Silver moment. And it's just such a like coming straight from the book of like no drinking, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. He's such a bastard, and it's great. And then it's also, I love the little line that he says, and it's only because I've seen this movie too many times. But he says to Jim, don't bother the captain, immediately separating him from everybody else. And it's like such a good manipulative thing, and it's just, y'all can't see it, but I'm doing excited hands.
I think they can tell from your voice. I wrote down, I remember it, but I don't remember if it was here. I wrote down that the Mayhem Jazz moment is wonderful. I love that the Mayhem band.
Oh, is that the one with the animal drummer?
Yeah, it's the band, the Muppet Band.
They're fun.
Yeah. They, instead of doing like the rock like they normally do, like very 70s rock, they just do some jazz moments, and I really vibe with that. They go into the Cabin Fever song, which was itself a fever dream.
Yeah.
Like, I know the creators of the Muppets for sure in the 70s did acid, because of course they did. They created the Muppets. But, like, they don't need to show children what it's like via the song.
The annoying Polly Lobster kidnaps Gonzo and Rizzo and tries to torture them to make them tell her where the map is. Because it leads to one of my favorite jokes about the Cabin Fever. The only reason the Cabin Fever song should still be in the movie is because Clueless Morgan then goes, did you guys hear that song that just happened in like 2 seconds? And everyone treats him like he's crazy. I love that joke. the journey happens.
So the bar scene happens.
The bar scene happens. Then they cut into like the journey, and they have a couple of scenes with Silver and Jim working, like collaborating. And then they have that scene where like Jim is like, this is my father's compass. It's the only thing I have.
I wrote that. And then Long John's like, I was 8 when my father died too. Very coincidental, Jim. My dad also died when I was 8. Yeah. I also have trauma. I mean, it's probably true, but like, he's a pirate. Like,
but again, we don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Could be lying. Could be like making it up.
Yeah.
And then his friends get kidnapped, and like Jim, he's trying to convince him to tell him about the map because Long John knows that Jim knows something about the map, but he doesn't know what he knows.
Gotcha. That's when they stretch Gonzo.
That's when they stretch out Gonzo. Gotcha. And it's the only reason that poly character even exists, because then he can get in trouble for stretching out Gonzo.
Yeah.
And then Jim is ordered to give over the map to the captain.
Yes. Gotcha. I remember now. And then the Cabin Fever song starts? Which I didn't enjoy, but I enjoyed that it was there, but I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. No, you know? I understand it, because it's kind of like, it's the humor of that song comes in the what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
And that's only really funny when you first watch it.
Yeah. And then we get to Silver trying to figure out what to do about Sam Eagle, aka Arrow. And instead of killing him, he tricks Arrow essentially to do a OSHA review of the life rafts and just sends him off on a practice run to sea. And Arrow's like, yeah, I'm gonna go try out this lifeboat, push me off to shore, and he just starts rowing away. And I found that hilarious, and also a great way to, like, quote, kill off a character.
Well, in all fairness, if it wasn't a Muppet movie, it would have killed him.
Yeah, true. I didn't think about that, because Muppets still follow rules, and I like that. Anyways, and then they have a big old fake funeral for Captain Arrow, and then the apple scene happens. Mm-hmm. And I do like how the apple scene happened here, because Jim's going down the stairs, and he finds Rizzo and Gonzo in the apple barrels just eating snacks, because this chef, also the first thing, I forgot about this, the first thing that the chef says, like, oh, on my ship you can eat whatever you want. That is not good chef behavior. You gotta ration out your food.
It's almost like he wasn't really a chef.
I know. But like, I was like, but still, you're still gonna die before you get to the treasure. Like, the pirate's gonna die before they get the treasure. But anyway, so the Muppets are snacking on apples, and they literally pull him into the apple barrel, and the apple barrel cannon event happens.
I like how that reveal plays out too. It's not as good as the Treasure Planet one, but it's still like decent enough. And I feel bad for Jim, because he clearly likes Long John in that scene. And there's always a moment that makes my feelings go, "Aw," because, you know, Jim hears Long John. He gets so excited for a minute, because he's like, oh, good, these mutinous pirates are going to be taken care of. And then Long John says the line, no one mutinies until I say we mutiny. Mm-hmm. And then his face just falls, and it's very sad for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you said, Tim Curry is the perfect Long John Silver. I just don't like the boy as Jim. Like, not that because he's not bad. I just don't enjoy him.
He's like a 90s teen. He's like a 90s, like, kid actor.
Yeah, which means he's not a good actor.
Yeah.
And then minutes, not even, like, seconds after, he's like, no one mutinies until I mutiny. They say, land ho. And then he says, okay, now we mutiny. Or something similar like that. It almost happens like that.
The plan for Silver is not to mutiny. It's just that Jim goes up to Smollett and tells him immediately.
Oh, yeah.
And then Smollett is like, hey, Long John Silver, take as many people as you want to go, like, re-ration and, like, do all the things you need to do. Because, like, Kermit's trying to, like, be like, cool, get all the pirates off the boat.
Mm-hmm. Which is, I forgot about that. Yes, that's the part.
And it's so smart.
Again, they're all Frankensteining together in my brain. It's all one treasure.
That's why I'm here. So I do love the fact that, like, Silver pulls Jim into the boat. Mm-hmm. It's a good change.
It's a good sneaky way.
It's a good sneaky way, and it's a good change, and it means Jim is slightly less dumb.
And he's also more in danger.
Yes. It's great.
And then we get to Treasure Island. And
Tim Curry. Again, I just wrote Tim Curry with a bunch of exclamation points.
Tim Curry is great.
He's so great. They sing a song about being pirates and how he should be a pirate.
Yes, I fell asleep here.
You fell asleep at the pirate song? Mm-hmm. That's wild.
I don't remember it.
That's crazy to me.
But maybe I didn't fall asleep. I remember the pigs.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Is that after or before the song?
That's after.
Okay, so maybe I was awake for the song. I just wasn't affected by it. I think I was about to drift off, probably.
You're probably about to drift off.
But I was awake enough to write that the pigs were not a good look.
No, they're not a good look.
So they get to the island after the pirate song, and we meet the locals. Who are
there's a couple other things.
What else happens that I was almost asleep.
Okay,
I was kind of watching.
So this is the part that makes me be like, okay, Captain Smollett takes on some of the doctor bits. Mm-hmm. Another part that makes me feel things because I like to feel things when I think too heavily about them. Is Long John is sitting there talking to Jim about how nobody was actually going to give him any treasure. Do you really believe that the squire and the captain were going to let you give anything? And then just as that he's going off about that, there's a little scene of Smollett getting on the lifeboat to go save Jim with Rizzo and Gonzo reaffirming the fact that they're all family and they love each other.
Because it's Muppets. I know. Yeah, I didn't get that part. I was almost asleep there.
And also the other note that I wrote is, I would have joined the Pirates if Tim Curry sang that song for me.
Tim Curry would just have to look at me and I'd be like, yes, I'm a pirate. Also, I would love to be a pirate.
So then, I wrote down, because I have a lot of feelings about something that I've thought too heavily about. I wrote down that I really like the parallels between the captain ordering him to give him the map and then the Long John ordering him to give him the compass. And I just thought that was fun. And I noticed it for the first time because it's a very similar vibe.
I definitely was not conscious for the compass part.
The treasure hunt is pretty identical because that's where they go find the treasures. Mm-hmm. And then when Captain Smollett and Rizzo and Gonzo get on the island and they do that eye joke, that's when the pigs show up.
I don't remember the eye joke because again, I was not really awake. And I did write that the pigs were not a good look, very problematic.
The pigs, ... Nope.
Yep. And then I wrote, I did fall asleep for 3 minutes. I don't know what happened.
You fell asleep for more than 3 minutes.
I fell asleep enough that apparently I snored and Brittany and Isaac had to wake me up. But I did get the sense, immediately we see the pigs and then I'm like, okay, Miss Piggy has not showed up yet. She's going to be Ben Gunn, yeah. Which is wonderful. Benjamina, right?
Yeah.
Benjamina
Gunn.
Benjamina Gunn. Mm-hmm. I love Miss Piggy. I love the backstory she has here, why she's marooned. Because Miss Piggy is my favorite Muppet. She's so problematic, but in a harmless way. And I love that always.
Is it harmless to say?
It's harmless.
Okay.
I meant in Muppet lore in general, not necessarily this role.
It's really smart of them to move that treasure hunt bit earlier, mm-hmm. so that it doesn't have as much time to build up the tension of, oh my god, the treasure hunt, so the disappointment's over with. Treasure's been moved. Oops.
I missed the treasure hunt.
I know you did.
I was asleep. I love, in every Muppet thing, I love Kermit and Miss Piggy's relationship because it's almost always the same kind of beats, and I love it. Anyway.
Oh, also a good part of the treasure hunt that you missed because you were asleep. The part where they dig up the treasure and it's totally empty. Mm-hmm. Long John pulls out the guns, tells Jim to run, and Jim's like, "Why are you saving me?" And Long John's like, "'Cause I like you. I hope you didn't think I was lying about that." And it's a very cute moment. Were you at least awake for the Long John black spot scene?
No. Oh, wait, the Bible thing? Yes I was. Yes. Because I remember telling Brittany and Isaac that was in the book.
Yeah, it's almost exactly word for word from the book. It's great.
Yeah.
It's just so fabulous. And after that bit, they lose all book accuracy points.
They capture Kermit and Miss Piggy, mm-hmm. and the pirates do, and they hang them over the ledge. And
first they hang Kermit over to try to...
and then Miss Piggy's sassiness, of course, and they also hang her too.
Well, once she tells them where the treasure is.
Yeah, once they get the treasure, because she's wearing gold over her neck, of course, which she's fabulous. Of course she's going to wear the gold. Duh.
Yeah, Jim and Rizzo managed to get away.
They get to the shore, and then lo and behold,
Mr. Arrow comes
Mr. Arrow, Sam Eagle is rowing and still talking about how the lifeboat is safe.
And then he says, by the way, Mr. Silver, he may not be trustworthy.
Yes. Which, it's a great bit. A great bit. But
so they do have the Jim sneaking onto the boat thing again.
Yeah, and they sneak onto the boat, and they move the boat closer, and at first...
Well, first they have the Mr. Arrow pretend to be a ghost and scare all the other pirates
yes,
off.
which I also liked. They got the ghost bit in there.
And then it's really cute because Jim becomes the captain of the ship to, like, direct everybody to, like, what they're going to do next. So then they move the ship.
Yes. And they go save Kermit and Miss Piggy, and then...
They're singing a love song.
Yep, they're singing a love song, which I thought was a really cute love song.
Okay.
I thought it was cute.
I like the montage of the gold.
Yeah, the montage of the gold was really good. The pirates loving the gold.
When they realize that the ship's been moved, the way that Silver says Hawkins is, like, so good. Because it's just the perfect amount of, like, pride and also menace and also anger and also, like, fuck, I shouldn't have let that kid go. And it's great.
The sword fight
is so ridiculous.
It's so, like, poorly choreographed. And, like, the Muppets are supposed to look bad when they sword fight. That's fine. They're Muppets. Of course it's not going to look good. But the human-on-human fighting, or the human versus Muppets, the human part was so choreographed and so bad. And I was just waiting for Miss Piggy to do her classic karate chopping everyone and doing her stuff. And I loved that bit. That part was good. And then we notice when Kermit comes into the fight... The best part about this movie is Kermit has a Miss Piggy of this character's Miss Piggy, a Benjamina gun tattoo on his chest, and I need a tattoo of him having that tattoo on my chest. I loved it so much.
So here's my thing. I understand the fight is not well choreographed. I've always loved it because it's really funny to me and it's really goofy. So I enjoy that part of it. The notes I took on here was like Silver's just utter disgust as the fight is going on is really funny to me. Yeah. And then there's a part where like Jim is fighting some pirate and he's like, come on, Jerry, he's just a kid. And it's like, yeah, bro, I feel this because this is a bad fight.
It's a very bad fight.
And then the scene where they all magically have transformed and gotten white shirts on somehow.
I loved that. I loved that.
And then Rizzo gets his final little bit of cowardice and he's like, kill Squire Trelawney and you'll have to negotiate strenuously.
I wrote one more thing after the tattoo comment. So a lot of stuff happens between then. Not a lot of stuff. A few things happen. And I don't remember what. How does the movie end?
How does the movie end? So after the fight on the boat, like Long John's been captured, the other pirates are locked up. And as they are like getting out, Long John realizes that he still has the key. So he goes and he like sneaks a bunch of treasure on the boat and gets on the lifeboat and is about to sneak out in the middle of the night. And Jim catches him and he's about to blow the whistle and Long John has the gun out ready to shoot him and he obviously can't shoot him. And he says, I could never hurt you. You're like so honest and brave and true. And he rhymes and it's like great. And so he like, Jim also doesn't rat out Long John. He just lets him go. And then he goes back to calling him Mr. Silver. But he also doesn't blow the whistle to get him caught. So, you know, Bo.
I did write, I don't like this ending, ... Oh, he's singing.
What?
Yes. That's what I wrote. That's the last thing I wrote.
What the fuck are they singing?
I don't know. You watched this movie 8 times.
Why do you think they're singing? They don't sing at the end.
At the end? There's no songs after the battle?
No.
Interesting. That's what I wrote.
I mean, that's like, that line always sounds like he's about to break into song. Mm-hmm. So they separate and like Long John gets in an unsafe lifeboat.
Yes. That part was a little bit funny.
Yeah. So he ends up stuck on the island. And then it's, where are we going to go next, Captain Jim? Captain Hawkins? Wherever the wind takes us. And then it cuts into the end credits song.
Which I don't like that ending.
I think it's cute.
Then he gets to go on an adventure. I don't know. I mean, it fits the Muppet, like, vibe.
The adventure continues.
Yeah. But it's interesting. Yeah. What I liked about this movie, as a movie, I liked the Muppets. I liked Tim Curry. That's it. I didn't like the Treasure Island bits of this movie. The jokes were good. Like, the writing of it is good.
Mm-hmm.
I like this movie because it's the Muppets, not because it's Treasure Island.
You also don't like Treasure Island, though.
I love Treasure Planet.
Yeah. But, like, you don't like Treasure Island.
The book. Yeah.
So.
And, like, I don't know. I just thought, like, there's enough bad stuff and problematic stuff that I was like, no thank you. But also some of it just didn't hit for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I was disappointed by the Muppets, kind of.
Oh, my.
But, like, I would watch the Muppet movie. Any of the Muppet movies. Muppets to Make Manhattan, the one in space. I'd watch all those. This one?
Huh.
Yeah. Christmas Carol's way better than this one. And that's my toxic opinion, apparently. According to your face.
I don't know if it's toxic.
It's not toxic.
So, like, I think the thing is, Muppet Treasure Island for me is like a comfort movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I like, especially like rewatching it now, knowing that we were going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, no, there's like this latter half of the movie, like, really kind of falls apart.
I understand liking problematic movies as comfort movies.
Yeah.
You know, like, my problematic comfort movie. So I understand that. And, like,
wait, do I know your problematic comfort
yes,
movie?
we're not going to talk about it on this podcast.
It's Twilight, right?
No. Twilight's not as problematic as my problematic comfort movie. I won't judge you for liking this. I mean, Muppets rock.
Yeah.
Period. I think a lot of it also is, like, I remember one being scared of this as a kid and then one loving it as a kid and then watching it for the first time after like 20 some odd years. I was like very disappointed in it.
See, and I watched it a lot as a kid at summer camp, like in like 30-minute increments, and then got re-obsessed with it when I was 13 and then continued to be obsessed with it throughout most of my life.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh no, the Muppets. But so yeah, as far as an adaptation of Treasure Island, there are really good bits. The casting of the Muppets as Treasure Island characters, awesome.
It's so frustrating to me because, like, watching both of these again, I just really wish we had, like, the plot of Treasure Planet and then pushed it into the casting of, like, Muppet Treasure Island.
Muppet Treasure Planet?
Like, literally, I want the plot of Treasure Planet and the characters of the Muppets. That's what I want.
Muppet Treasure Planet
that
sounds
would
amazing.
Be perfect.
That'd be
because
amazing.
I think they capture the vibes of the characters. Because, like, again, I have feelings about the Doctor, but I understand why he gets cut. Because he is pretty redundant. In the sense of, like, the captain can be the straight man, stern guy, and the squire is the ridiculous one. And, you know, if you're not exploring that specific dynamic, which you don't really necessarily need to in an adaptation because Silver's right there.
Yep.
And especially in a condensed timeline of like a movie, you don't have the time or the energy to make the audience care about both of those relationships.
Definitely.
But so I want the characters of the Muppets with the plot of Treasure Island or Treasure Planet, and boom, we have my perfect Treasure Island adaptation. Kind of. So that's where I kind of land, is I'm kind of like, the plot's so good for Treasure Planet, and it's such a good adaptation of, like, really distills it down to the important parts. And then, like, the characters and this casting is a lot better in Treasure Island and Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good assessment of it. I think Muppet Treasure Island has its problematic bits. It's still fun. It's the Muppets. Like, it's a good time. It's just that, like, as an adult, I'm like, I'd rather watch other Muppet stuff. Especially since they have newer Muppet stuff, too. That's better. But as a Treasure Island, I think, if we're talking not just about adaptations, I think Treasure Planet is, like we said, a better adaptation. It's also, I think, the better movie, personally, if we're going to put the movies up together. But it's also what I would rather watch of the two.
I think, like, if we are talking about just pure objectivity, you will not have me arguing that Muppet Treasure Island is a better movie.
Yeah.
Because it's not. But I can't be objective about it, you know?
Yeah.
For, like, first of all, the reasons that we detailed of, like, every time I watch Long John Silver and Treasure Planet, I'm just like, it's not Long John Silver, man. It's, like, a guy who looks like him. And Muppet Treasure Island is my watch once a year comfort movie. Like, I just want to sit here and have a good time and sing along to all the songs and pretend I can't hear the child singing.
His awful squeaky voice. Poor child. Do you want some fun facts that you probably already know?
Is one of them that this is the first Muppet movie after Jim Henson died?
No. Because I don't want to talk about that because sad times. But it's true. After the success of Muppet Christmas Carol, they were debating, they wanted to do a classic remake for one. Public domain would be easier, right? It was a debate between Treasure Island and King Arthur. And in retrospect, the producers are very happy they went with Treasure Island and not King Arthur because they couldn't figure out how many Muppet horses versus real horses they wanted to have. Which I thought was very fun. I already said the one thing about Gonzo and Rizzo splitting up the Jim and Hawkins, and I kind of want that version of it.
But I like the trio dynamic.
The trio was
you gotta have the straight man, and then you gotta have the like wild one, and then you gotta have the coward. It makes like and then it is a good balance. But I love Gonzo and Rizzo. So post-production, Tim Curry was given a Muppet of himself as Long John Silver as a present because he's such a huge Muppet fan, and they're like, thank you, Tim Curry, for being in this movie. So I thought that was really cute. And then, of course, like I said earlier, the guy that played Jim went through puberty, so they had to redub it because his voice kept squeaking. The poor kid.
I know.
I, honest to God, have never noticed his mullet. His mullet? I did not notice it.
His mullet is awful.
I just thought it was like floppy, like old style ponytail hair.
Straight up mullet. It's a mullet. And there is a Jim Hawkins must have a mullet conspiracy here between Muppet Treasure Island and Treasure Planet. Because that rat tail is a version eventually of a mullet.
Are you sure it's not just how fashion evolves and the fact that these were made within 10 years of each other?
No.
Okay.
Anyways.
Oh, so out of 10, Muppet Treasure Island.
5.5.
It's an 8 for me.
Yeah. It's 5.5 for me.
That's valid.
Because I fell asleep.
That's valid.
If I had not fallen asleep, I would have given it a 6. Maybe 6.5. But if I fell asleep and I wasn't tired, I was bored. I was understimulated. So I fell asleep.
I still can't believe you fell asleep during the pirate song.
I know. Which I love pirate songs. If you think there is an extra Treasure Island, the old one that we should have watched, you can tell us. We probably won't watch it. And by we, I mean me. I will probably not watch it.
I'll watch it and then I'll come here and steal her recording equipment. Sure
you will, bud. You can tell us what you think is the better adaptation. And make sure you look and see what we're reading next. I don't know what I'm reading next, but I'm reading something. Thanks for listening. And remember, read the book first. That's the name of the podcast. Did I tell you that?
No.
That's the name of the podcast.